But I'm really excited. I want to hop into like a tier, kind of a tier list type thing, which is something we haven't really gotten the time to do, as the NFL season progressed. But now that we are here, kind of in the off season, we have time to do it. So I want to rate them based off of their 2023 season performance, and these are all the starters that were coming into the year. So, this is I'm not, Jake Browning's probably is not going to be on here. Mason Rudolph won't be on here. All those guys that took over at the end of the year, I won't be rating them. I'm rating just the people that were named starters at the beginning of the year for each of the 32 NFL teams. So starting off, in our tiers, by the way, are elite, above average, average, below average, and trash. Starting off, we got Josh Allen. Josh Allen had I'm going to pull up ESPN too, just to, fact check my stats and everything, because I can't remember all of them. Josh Allen had a shaky year turnover-wise. He turned the ball over a lot this season, in typical Josh Allen fashion. 18 interceptions is nasty work. He did throw 29 touchdowns, though, and what really jumped off the page for me is this dude, as a quarterback, scored 15 rushing touchdowns. That's fucking insane. 15 rushing touchdowns. I think he was tied for the NFL lead in rushing touchdowns. That's crazy, as a quarterback. So, and it wasn't like all of these touchdowns were like touchdown merchant Jalen Hurts touchdowns. It was like good rushing quarterback touchdowns. So just based on that fact alone, I'm gonna put him in the elite tier, just because he was an NFL, he was an MVP, candidate, a very strong MVP candidate at that. And I just think that the impact he has on the team, even though he does turn the ball over a lot, I don't think he's just above average. He is elite. And by the way, when I do put these in the rankings, I will be or in the tiers, I will be ranking the quarterbacks in those tiers as well, for sure. So the next quarterback we have is Baker Mayfield, and what a season we had from Baker Mayfield. Probably would have won comeback player of the year if Joe Flacco never came off the couch. But Baker Mayfield had an incredible season for the Buccaneers. Let's just pull up his stats real quick. Literally the exact same, if not a little bit better than Tom Brady's season the year prior. And this guy, this is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. I'm a big Baker Mayfield guy, for sure. All the shit he's gone through, and the amount of times he's had to bounce back from being, just in shitty ass situations, and all the coaches he's had. I saw an insane graphic of the amount of coaches this dude has had in his career, and it's absolutely insane. And most quarterbacks that are going through that do not succeed in the NFL. But let's pull up his stats here. 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 4,044 yards. That's incredible, from a player who we thought would be out of the league last year. So good for Baker Mayfield. And when I say last year, I mean the year he was on the Panthers and Rams and bouncing around. But yeah, good for Baker Mayfield. Played incredible this season. And for that, I'm going to put him in the above average quarterback tier. He's honestly, as a Baker Mayfield fan, I want to put him in elite. I absolutely do. But at the same time, I don't know if I think we need to see, I don't know. Based on his performance this year, he could be in the elite list. But when I think elite, I think of like MVP candidates, and I don't think Baker was there just yet. So I'm going to put him in above average. Once again, huge Baker fan. The next quarterback on this list, now this is going to get real interesting, is Tua Tagovailoa. And honestly, this is where I'm a little torn. He's either really high on the above average or he's a little bit lower on the elite. Let's look up his stats for the year. Now, let's not forget, Tua was a MVP candidate for a good part of the year, mainly in the beginning. And this is in proper Tua fashion, usually fizzles off towards the end of the season. He had 29 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and 4,600 yards. Now, when you look at the stats, they're very comparative to Baker, and I feel like if I don't put Baker in elite, I can't really put Tua in elite. But I think that because the fact that Tua doesn't really, like, we saw a lot of games where in the big moments Tua can't step up most of the time. Like, I don't think Tua is a clutch. I think Tua is kind of like a baby Dak in the way that in the big moments he kind of fizzles out. And I'm a huge Tua fan, like huge. I love Tua Tagovailoa, absolutely. But I do think he kind of suffers from the Dak condition, where he's just kind of gone in the big moments. And he's one of those teams. He reminds me like a bully quarterback, where when his team's up a lot, man, he'll keep slicing up your defense. But when he's losing, I don't know, he just doesn't play as well. So I think for that, I'm going to go ahead and put him in the above average tier, but I think I am going to put him above Baker, just because of the yards. He did have a lot more yards, and I think he had a little bit more of an impact on the football field than Baker did this year. Now next is, this is going to be an interesting one. Patrick Mahomes is next up on the list. Let's pull up his stats really quick. Patrick Mahomes, like I said, is an interesting one because any other season in his career, I'd put him in elite, if not above elite. But this season was horrible for Patrick Mahomes. Not horrible, but really down for what he can normally do. So we're looking at 4,100 yards, 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Looking at this, Baker Mayfield had a better season than Patrick Mahomes. Absolutely. Tua Tagovailoa had a better season than Patrick Mahomes. I still think that he's above average because of, he's definitely got in the same ballpark, the same stats as those guys. And also he steps up in the big moments. I mean, he's Patrick Mahomes. But I think based on this season's performance, I got to put him in above average beneath Baker. I'm sorry. I mean, I know I got a lot of Patrick Mahomes fanboys out there. And, it's granted, seeing Patrick Mahomes and not an elite tier is definitely really weird. But if you ask me, he didn't do anything this season that would put him in the elite performance tier. He had those clutch moments, but if you look at his stats, he turned the ball over a lot more than he usually does. He didn't throw as many yards, as many touchdowns. And I'll tell you what, if you give Baker Mayfield the defense that Patrick Mahomes had, and the Buccaneers defense, they're not bad, but they got sliced up like in their secondary a lot this season, specifically against the Texans. I mean, they got absolutely dismantled. But I think the Chiefs probably had a top 2 defense this season, top 3 with the Ravens and Niners. I think if you give Baker Mayfield that defense, I don't know. I mean, I think they could probably have the same record, if not better, than the Chiefs had this season. I know it sounds fucking insane what I'm saying, but they probably would have had the same record as if they had Baker Mayfield over Patrick Mahomes. This is basically what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say Baker Mayfield is better than Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying is based on their performances, you give Baker Mayfield that defense, I think maybe they have the same record, if not around the same, in the same ballpark. Because now what I'm remembering is, Patrick Mahomes didn't have the best weapons this year, which I will fully admit as a Chiefs hater. Their weapons were atrocious. MVS didn't do anything until the playoffs. Kadarius Toney didn't do anything at all. And, I'm starting to take that back now. But I do think that Baker would have kind of had a similar success on the Chiefs as Patrick Mahomes this season. I just think it was a down year for Patrick Mahomes, which happens to every great quarterback. Absolutely. But let's move on here. So the next one is Jordan Love, and this is going to be another interesting one for me because I actually think Jordan Love had a really good year, but I don't think the record that he had reflected that, and that might be more towards the defense. Anyways, let's get back on track here. Jordan Love, this man had 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and threw for 4,100 yards. Absolutely incredible season. And I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here. I very well might be. I don't know. I'm torn here, especially because it was a really down year for quarterbacks that I need to put some in elite. But I kind of get the feeling that Jordan Love, based on his team's success, I feel like there were some moments, and he's still young. I feel like there were some moments he might have shied away, kind of like Tua. Man, I'm torn here. I'm really torn. You know what? And this is coming from a huge Packers hater. I'm going to put Jordan Love in elite right behind Josh Allen. if you think about the weapons, I mean, if we're going to use the weapons case for Patrick Mahomes, if you think about the weapons that Jordan Love had this season, I mean, he had Christian Watson for like 4 games out of the year. He had Jaden Reed. He had some dude named Bo Melton scoring touchdowns towards the end of the year. And that's just reminds me of prime Aaron Rodgers so much. And if you look at his stats, it reflects the eliteness that he had. I'm going Jordan Love in the elite tier for sure. Next, we got Russell Wilson. This is going to be another interesting one because a lot of people like to hate on Russell Wilson. And I get it. I for sure get it. But I think Russell Wilson actually had a great year this year. Given the hand that he was dealt, I think he had a great season. I mean, take a look at the numbers. 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, threw for 3,000 yards. Now, it's the yards that's messing it up. I get that. He was check down city over there in Denver. But is that him or is that the play calling? I mean, he had a much improved season from 2022 last year, and I think that he's definitely got to be an above average. I think that he's still an above average quarterback. I am a Russell Wilson believer in that, in that God-fearing quarterback. I think he's still a fantastic quarterback. I'm going to put him below Patrick Mahomes, though, just based on the yards. And, we didn't really see him do a whole lot in terms of stretching the field. But I'm still going to put him above average, right behind Patrick Mahomes. And the next quarterback is Sam Howell, a guy I was huge on coming into the season. I remember telling my friends that this dude was going to be next up. I was a firm believer in him. And granted, I think if he had a better offensive line, he would have been a lot better. But he's still just like a poor man's Jameis Winston, where he's just chucking that thing up and he does not give a fuck, which I love. It's entertaining to watch for sure. But 21 touchdowns and 21 picks, that's rough. And, I think when you're the Commanders quarterback, I think it's kind of a death sentence. And I thought he could maybe, change that. But I just think that he's, why am I watching North Carolina highlights for Sam Howell? This dude's been in the league for 2 years already. Anyways, I think that he's just been inefficient, and he just turns the ball over a little bit too much. But I just think that, I think we can give him a little bit of an excuse. He's played for the Commanders, and he played for one of the worst fucking offensive lines I've seen in a long time. And I think if you can give, what's his face? I'm fucking forgetting, not Jordan Love. Dude, who the fuck? I'm so stupid. Who the fuck is the first overall pick this year on the Panthers? Bryce Young. If you can give Bryce Young and the same excuse that, he didn't have a good offensive line. Sam Howell did have weapons, but that offensive line was even worse than Carolina's. And so I think that maybe, I think if you wanted to go offensive line in the draft for the Commanders, like Cole was trying to say on our redraft, I think that would kind of be smart. Maybe see what Sam Howell can do for one more year. But I don't know. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in this draft. I think you take your chances with one of them because, looking at his numbers, I didn't realize it was this bad, 21 and 21. So granted, on the tier list, let's get back to the tier list here. I'm going to have to say Sam Howell's probably below average. I'm not going to put him in the trash tier. I don't think he's trash. I think he could definitely be a good starter. Like I said, I just think he had a really, really bad situation in Washington, and I got to give him that. And I think that he's got good talent. He's got great talent, and he showed flashes of great talent this season. He almost beat the Eagles twice this year, and now that doesn't sound pretty impressive. But back when they played, the Eagles were like 10-1 or whatever. They were like the 10-1 Eagles, not the 11-7 Eagles. So I got to give it to him. I think he'll still be I think he'll be a solid starter if he, gets a better situation. But I don't think any teams will give him that chance. But I'm gonna put him in below average. I don't think he was trash this year. Let's take a look at Dak. Now Dak was another MVP candidate, and based off of his regular season performance, I already know that he'll probably go in elite. But let's pull up his numbers anyways. Yeah, 4,500 yards, 36 tutties, and 9 interceptions. I mean, you got to put him in elite. That's an incredible stat line. Probably the best quarterback stat line that we had this season by far. Because, like I said, just a horrible year for quarterbacks. but I'm going to put him in elite above Josh Allen, because he didn't have the turnovers. I think he was more of an MVP candidate than Josh Allen. And he played really well this year. Now moving on, let's go to Bryce Young. And this is another guy who just had a horrible hand that was dealt to him. Let's pull up his stats. I mean, it was not a good year. Bryce Young had 11 touchdowns, 10 picks, 2,800 yards, and he played 16 damn games. He missed one game and still only threw 11 touchdowns and not even 3K yards. I mean, I don't want to do this because I feel for the guy. He plays for the Panthers of all teams. He plays for the Panthers, one of the worst run teams in the entire league this year, the past couple years. And he had horrible weapons, horrible offensive line. But I still got to do it. His performance this year was trash. Absolutely trash. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Bryce Young. I believe in you. I still think you can be a great NFL quarterback. I think everybody does. But your performance this year was absolutely god-awful. And it wasn't because of him. I'm not trying to say that. But I think he needs a better offensive line. He needs to get some weapons over there. Now, Aaron Rodgers is the next quarterback. I don't even have to pull up his stats. I feel like I shouldn't even do Aaron Rodgers because of what happened, but I'm just going to put him in average because he didn't do anything, obviously. He didn't play horrible. He didn't play good because he didn't have the chance to do either. So I'm just going to put him in average. Just kind of ignore him, honestly, because, like I said, he did not get the opportunity to do anything this year. I'm excited to see if there's one thing I'm excited about is to get over this offseason and see Aaron Rodgers back next year and see what he can do with the Jets. So let's move on to the next quarterback here, and that's Trevor Lawrence. Now, I'm a big Trevor Lawrence fan, like as the person, but in terms of his play, I'm not a huge Trevor Lawrence fan. I never really have been. I think last year he had a great season, 2022, but this season he showed kind of the game manager isms that I think he kind of has had his whole career. So he threw for 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He also blew the chance to go to the NFL playoffs, and I think the Jags had a great team, a great coach. And they just kind of blew it. And I'm surprised that Doug Peterson is not on the hot seat as much as other coaches just because of that little blunder at the end of the year. And I think that the Eagles blunder kind of overshadows it. But the Jaguars had a horrible finish to their year. They lost to the Titans to miss the playoffs. That's insane. I don't think Trevor Lawrence had a good year either. I'm just going to put him in average. I think he did average things. But I don't think he never really did anything that made me go, well, he's an above average quarterback. But he also never did anything that made me say, he's not good at all. I think he was just average this year for sure. The next one is, Bill Cosby. Deshaun Watson. Let's pull up his stats really quick. He had a great game against the Ravens before he got injured. But other than that, I don't think it was too impressive. Let's pull it up. I don't know. All right, so my boy finished with 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions in 6 games. Again, not anything to write home about. Take a look at his game log. You're seeing 1 touch, 2, nothing super elite or even above average. I think that he didn't really show enough to be above average, but I still think that even in the moments he shined, he was a little bit better than Trevor Lawrence most of the year. So I'm going to put him in average above Trevor Lawrence. But he did not do anything this year except, that fourth quarter against the Ravens. He had a great fourth quarter. Maybe if he didn't get hurt, he could have had, continued to have a good season. But in that fourth quarter, I didn't really see anything that I loved. Or in other than that fourth quarter, I didn't really see anything, that was super impressive. So I'm gonna put him in above average, or I'm gonna put him in just average for right now. Now this next quarterback, Desmond Ridder, and I I think it's safe to say I know exactly where I'm putting him, but let's just pull up his stats. And yeah, this man was trash. Desmond Ridder was absolutely garbage. I'm going to put him even below Bryce Young because he did not have the excuse of having horrible weapons and a horrible offensive line. He actually had a pretty damn good offense with a lot of good young weapons, and yeah, he did not play good at all. Jalen Hurts is next up. Now, this is one that's going to be kind of weird because the first 11 games I would have put him in elite, and now he's probably just going to be an above average somewhere. 23 tutties, 15 picks. I mean, a lot of fucking picks. 3,800 yards, and he had 15 touchdowns as well on the ground. I did not realize Jalen Hurts had that many. But like I said, merchant touchdowns at the goal line that he just got shoved in. I mean, I'm not a Jalen Hurts hater whatsoever, but come on, that 15 is a little inflated. I'm going to put him in above average for sure, but let's see where we need to put him between. I think he was a little bit better than Russ, but I think shit. I don't know, dude. He still had 600 yards on the ground, so he's still a good rushing quarterback, of course. Do I put him above Patrick Mahomes? I don't think I can. But Patrick Mahomes also had 14 interceptions. I think I'm putting him above Patrick Mahomes. Am I putting him above Baker? I don't think I can. Less turnovers. I'm gonna put him above Patrick Mahomes in the above average tier, but below Baker. I just don't think he's kind of in that middle tier or middle grade in that tier. I just don't think he turned the ball over a little bit too much, but he still had that great ground game, and he still won a lot of games against good teams earlier in the year. So I'm gonna put him above average, above Patrick, and below Baker Mayfield. So the next quarterback is Joe Burrow, and this is going to be, once again, another weird one because he would be elite, but I don't know if he was elite in the games he played. 15-6, that's still, decently good. It's a 5.2 interception to touchdown ratio. Excuse me, or touchdown to interception ratio. 2,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Let's look at his game log. He had some good games in here, some 3 touchdown performances. But I mean, dude, I don't know. I still think he played better than Deshaun Watson in the games he played. But was he above average? He did beat the 49ers, one of the best defenses in the league, and he threw 3 touchdowns against them. I'm going to put him above average just because, he's Joe Burrow, and he did beat the 49ers and played really well against them. And he had some good games in there, but he was dealing with an injury most of the year. I'm going to put him above average, but I'm going to put him behind Russ at the end of the tier. This next one, Brock Purdy is what I'm assuming. I mean, Trey Lance wasn't even on the 49ers this year. So obviously it was Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is probably going to be in that elite tier. And I don't want to hear anything from you game manager people that Brock Purdy is just a game manager. I definitely think that there is some game managerisms. And I don't want to hear anything from you system quarterback accusers. I think that there definitely is a case for some systemism in him, being in a great great offense that was ran really well by Kyle Shanahan. But 31 tutties and 11 picks, 4,200 yards. That's elite. That's elite numbers there. Now, am I putting him above Jordan Love? Yes, I am. He won more games. Am I putting him above Josh Allen? That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. I don't know. Let's look at his rushing yards. Do you do good on the ground? He's just average. Am I putting Brock Purdy above Josh Allen? And the answer is no. The reason I don't think I'm going to put Brock Purdy above Josh Allen might have turned the ball over a lot more, but I do think that Josh Allen, going from, switching coordinators mid-season is never easy on a quarterback. And I think Josh Allen kind of, breaks the system he's in. I think Josh Allen is his own system. And once again, I'm not trying to say Brock Purdy is a system quarterback whatsoever. I don't think he is. But I think if you put Brock Purdy on the Bills, they're a lot worse of a team than Josh Allen was, at least this season. So, and any season probably. But we're just talking, for the sake of just this season, if you switch the two quarterbacks, I think that the Bills will do a lot worse, and the Niners might have even done a little bit better. So I'm going to put him, in front of Jordan Love, but just behind Josh Allen. And the next one is Derek Carr. Now, Derek Carr is one of those quarterbacks. I don't know if he had a good season or not. I really don't. I didn't really pay attention to him at all this season. He was kind of boring. But let's take a look at his stats. The man had 25 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Okay, this is surprising. I didn't think Derek Carr had that good of a year, but he really did. That's a really good touchdown-interception ratio. Okay. What do I do with this information? Well, let's take a look here. Derek Carr, I think that those type of numbers put him in above average. I think, does he go in front of Joe Burrow? Yes, I think he does. Just based on their performances this season. All right, don't come shoot me. Does he go before Russell Wilson? Yes, he had more yards, I think. And I think his numbers are a little bit better. I don't know. I think that's where it ends. I think he'll go in above average in front of Russell Wilson, but right behind Patrick Mahomes. Derek Carr had a really damn good year. I'm surprised. I did not think Derek Carr had that good of a season. Okay. Geno Smith. Now, this is another guy. I don't really know his numbers on the year. I think he had he definitely had a worse season than the year before. Right? Yeah, 20 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. He didn't really have that good of a year. 3,600 yards. He missed 2 games. I'm going to put him in average. Probably right behind Trevor Lawrence in that average tier there. I think the Seahawks need to probably look for a new quarterback, a young quarterback in the first round this year in their draft. I'm excited, though, to see their new offensive coordinator and what he can do. But anyways, Matthew Stafford is our next quarterback. He's definitely going to be an above average. We'll see if he has a case for elite. I don't really know. Matt Stafford always has the case for elite any year he plays in. No, I'm going to put him in. I'm going to put him in above average for what he did later on in the year. I mean, his numbers are kind of average, honestly. But I think, on that little win streak that they had, I think he definitely deserves to be an above average. I'm probably going to put him right in front of Joe Burrow. It feels weird. It feels weird putting Russell Wilson in front of him. No, I'm based on the impact he had on the field. I'm gonna put him in front of these two, just because he won a lot more games than them for the Rams. I feel like, and I felt like he would. I thought he had way better numbers than that. That's really surprising. But I think that the impact he had, just based on taking stats out of the picture, just based on the impact he had on the field, I'm putting him in front of those two in the above average tier. Now, the next one is Mr. PED himself. The only guy to ever take performance-enhancing drugs and play worse. Jimmy Garoppolo of the Raiders. I think I know exactly where I'm putting him, but let's take a look at the stats. 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Yeah, dude, you're trash. I'm putting him even below Desmond Ritter, because he had a great receiver in Devontae Adams, and he is so garbage. I remember I was playing my friend in fantasy football, and he had Devontae Adams left, and he only needed like 8 points, and it was a Monday Night Football game. I think it was against the Lions. Let me fact check myself. Yeah, it was this game against Detroit. Monday Night Football. And I think Devontae Adams had 2 points, and I won the fantasy football game. But not only did Devontae Adams not get more than 2 points because Jimmy Garoppolo is so garbage, but I think he had like a solid 8 targets. I could be wrong, but like 8 targets that were just completely overthrown. I think that was the official Jimmy Garoppolo, what do you want to call it? The official Jimmy Garoppolo downfall game, where he just played like trash, and everyone kind of saw that this guy was not it. He might have been the worst starting quarterback this season. I don't know. Mac Jones might have Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett might give him a run for his money. But as of right now, he's definitely in the bottom of the trash. Kyler Murray's next up. I think he actually had a pretty good year coming back for the Arizona Cardinals. Let's take a look here at his stats. Yeah, 1,800 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. It's really not bad. His rushing production, 244 yards and 3 touchdowns. Not horrible. I'm kind of torn on Kyler. He played pretty much half a year, so let's take his half year stats. So if he played a full season, he'd most likely have like 20 touchdowns and 10 interceptions and like 3,600 yards. I think he just played average this year, but I think he's at the top of the average list. So I'm going to put him above Deshaun Watson. If I can. Thank you. But I think that next year when he comes back fully healthy and a little bit better weapons, he'll be in the above average tier again. I'm sorry, Cole, if Cole's watching this. I know Cole wants to murder me right now, but I just think he's probably in the average just for right now. At the very top, he's like the elite average, All right, the next up, CJ Stroud. I'm excited to do this one. He's going to be an elite. He's absolutely going to be elite. A rookie to put up those type of numbers are insane. He's going to be an elite, but let's see where he's going to be. So I think he finished with 23-5, so that's pretty good. And he missed a couple games as well. I think he missed 2. He missed 2 games. He still put up those numbers. So he's going to go an elite. I'm going to put him above Jordan Love. I'm going to put him above Brock Purdy. Yes, I am. Absolutely, yes, I am. I think that probably ends there. I want to put him above Josh Allen so bad. I'm a huge CJ Stroud fan. But I just don't know. What do you guys think, chat? You think CJ Stroud had a better season than Josh Allen? You know what? I'm going to do it. I don't even care. Shut up. I think CJ Stroud is... Let's just talk about this. Now, Josh Allen might be the more, eye-popping stats quarterback. But you're talking about 18 interceptions versus 5 interceptions. And you're talking about a guy who just torched the league as a rookie. And then also, factor in the expectations that this Texans team had this season. It's not even close. I mean, he took a Texans team that was supposed to be bottom 2, probably one of the worst teams in the league, and he took them to the divisional round. And I just think that's so impressive. So I think CJ Stroud deserves to be in that second elite. I don't know if he's on, he didn't put up Dak. He didn't put up Dak numbers, but I think he's right there. As next guy, Mac Jones. If Mac Jones is a starter next year, I'll stop watching football. Gosh, this guy was bad. He might even be worse. He's worse. I think he's worse than Jimmy G. Mac Jones, you are officially trash. I'm sorry. Explain this to me. How, as the Patriots, are you going to go through a 3-game stretch where I think the Patriots defense allowed less than 10 points, or maybe they allowed exactly 10 points? How are you going to do that and lose all 3 of those games? That just goes to show how bad this Patriots offense was this year. And it got a little bit better when Bailey Zapp, am I saying that right? When he came in. But before that, Mac Jones was not doing anything. And it was so weird because he had such a good opening game against the Eagles. He had like 3 touchdowns and 200-something yards or something. And a lot of people were like, okay, is this the Mac Jones redemption year? And it sure wasn't. Because every game after that, he played like what people thought what draft experts thought Tom Brady was gonna play like if he was a starter. That's what Mac Jones played like. So, yeah, not a big Mac Jones guy here. Justin Fields is the next one. Let's take a look at his stats. $16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 2,500 yards. He had 4 touchdowns, 657 yards. He missed 4 games, though. Now, I'm a big Justin Fields fan, but he's got to stay consistent. This dude either plays absolutely horrible or he plays fantastic. There's no in between. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think you would put Justin Fields in the above average tier? Am I insane to do that? I think I'm going to put him in the average tier for right now. I'm going to put him above Kyler though, but I'm going to put him in the average tier just for right now. But I think that he has the potential to be above average. I do think he does. I'm a big Justin Fields believer. And the next up is Jared Goff, another guy I'm a huge believer on, and I think a lot of people shit on him for no reason. I think Jared Goff is fantastic as a starting quarterback. 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Are you really going to call that mid? Jared Goff is a top 10, top 8, top 7 quarterback in the league. I really do think that. Jared Goff is fantastic. I'm going to put him in above average. Do I want to put him above Tua? I'm going to put him above Tua for this year. I really am. I don't give a fuck. I'm putting Jared Goff above Tua and the above average. He's like the above average quarterback on this list. I mean, I'm a huge goofball fan. I love the goofball. Is he elite? I feel like someone would. I mean, he put up Jordan Love numbers, did he not? With a better record. Is Jared Goff elite? Is Jordan Love elite? Did I make a mistake doing that? If Jordan Love is elite by my standards, then Jared Goff has got to be elite. Fuck it. The goofball is elite. The goofball is elite. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear anything from any of you. The goofball is elite. The goofball is elite. I don't want to hear it. It's not debatable. I'm not hearing anyone out. All right, let's look at Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett had one play this season that could put him in the trash tier for the next 5 years, and it was that play against the Browns where he threw it where there was not even a Steelers receiver nor a Browns defender, like 30 yards in either direction of the ball. 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Okay, that's not bad, right? That's not horrible, right? Okay, well, what if I told you he played 12 games and he threw 6 touchdowns? That's a half touchdown a game. The man is trash. I don't care what you say. Kenny Pickett is trash. Now, I don't think he's Mac Jones trash. I don't think he's Jimmy G trash. Is he above Desmond Ridder or is he above? He won some more games. I'm going to put him above Desmond Ridder. But the man is still trash. Oh, my sweet Lamar is next up. Oh, Lamar. I'm going to cry just thinking about that AFC Championship game, man. 2-time MVP, Lamar Jackson. He's going in elite. I know his stats pretty well, but let's just look it up so you guys can see. "24 touchdowns, 7 picks. He did not turn the ball over a lot. And 821 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's going in elite. And I think for the impact I don't know. Do I do this, guys? Are you guys going to say that I'm biased if I put him above Dak? I'm going to put him above Dak. I think he was the most impactful quarterback this season by far. If we're talking pure, because this is not just stats, guys. This is pure performance. And with that, performance includes your impact on the field and how you impact your team. Lamar Jackson was by far, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Ravens fan, okay? He was by far the most impactful quarterback on the field this season. The things he did for the Ravens, no other quarterback could replicate that. Nobody. So he's going in the elite tier at the top. He's the elite of the elite this season so far. Not so far. The season's over. But he was, this season. Justin Herbert's next up. And, Justin Herbert will probably go into that above average tier. He was hurt most of this season. 20 touchdowns and 7 receptions. You cannot argue with those numbers. He was a good starting quarterback for sure. He wasn't as electric as he normally is, but he did have Brandon Staley coaching him. So he's going in the above average tier. But I'm right behind. Did I put him right behind Matthew Stafford? I think I will. I'm going to put him above Justin Herbert or Derek Carr, but I'm putting him right behind Matthew Stafford. I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, I like that. I like the way that looks. All right, next up is Ryan Tannehill, and that man was probably trash as well. Let's look. Oh man, that man was trash. Holy crap. 10 games, he threw 4 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He might be a... Dude, I don't know.
The 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander.
Is he below Mac Jones?
Thunderstruck.
In 10 games, you only throw 4 touchdowns. That's even worse than Kenny Pickett. Dude, I don't know. I really don't. I feel like it's based just... The thing about Ryan Tannehill is his numbers are worse, but if we're going, impact on the field, these two dudes right here, they played worse, I feel like. It just doesn't show in the numbers. I'm gonna put him above Jimmy G, but behind Desmond Ridder. Ryan Tannehill did not have a good year. He probably had the worst year statistically of all these quarterbacks, but I still think Jimmy G and Mac Jones just played worse, it feels like. All right, so the next up we got Kirk Cousins. Oh, you already know Daddy Kirko is going in the elite tier. No questions asked. The man had 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions before he got hurt. Now, just for fun, let's do this. Let's multiply this, okay? 30. So if he played about half of the season-ish, so you're looking at 36 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 4,600 yards, roughly, if he stays healthy. He's going in elite, and I want to say right below CJ Stroud. I feel like that's a fair place to put him. I think Kirk Cousins healthy, and when he's on a roll, that dude is a top 3 quarterback in the league. I'm dead serious. That guy is so good. If not top 5. Yeah, he's going in elite. Now this next one's going to be hard. I got Anthony Richardson. And we didn't really get to see a whole lot of Anthony Richardson, but I feel like what we did get to see was pretty promising. The only thing concerning about him is, he doesn't know when to go down. He likes to take hits, and that might cost him his career, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about his performance on the field. And I think he honestly had a really promising performance. For the games that we got to see him in. He only played 4 games. I don't think he was above average, but I feel like as of right now, he had a really good game against the Rams. I mean, he went toe-to-toe with Matthew Stafford in that game, which is insane. But in 4 games, throw 3 touchdowns. I feel like those are kind of average. Oh, dude, I don't know. Yeah, based on the small sample size, I'm going to put him in average, but I think if the season played out, he would have had a better year than Justin Fields. So I think he's average at the very top. Or is he below Kyler? Is he below these two? I feel like I gotta put him below these two. We just didn't get to see enough of him, honestly. And Daniel Jones, I don't think Daniel Jones was necessarily trash, but he was probably towards the bottom. Oh, 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Oh my gosh, he was trash. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. The man is trash. Daniel Jones is washed already. You give that man that paycheck and he's washed. He had a really good game against the Cardinals, which I guess isn't saying that much in week 2. But I'm putting him below. I don't know. I'm going to have to put him below Jimmy G, which is insane. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. All right, guys, I'm gonna save this. Okay, so this is my tier list of starting quarterbacks this past year. In the elite tier, you have Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, C.J. Stroud, Kirk Cousins, Josh Allen, Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, and Jared Goff. In the above average, we have Tua Tagovailoa, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, and Joe Burrow. And in the average tier, we have Justin Fields, Kyler Murray, Anthony Richardson, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, and Aaron Rodgers, which doesn't really count. And below average tier, all in his lonesome, I have Sam Howell. And in the trash tier, I mean, we got some real doozies here. Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Ryan Tannehill, Jimmy G, Daniel Jones, and Mac Jones. Let me know what you guys think of this little tier list. This was fun, honestly, to make. It kind of was, to think about, like, just to see all the seasons that these guys, like Derek Carr, I never expected him to have that good of numbers, honestly. I feel like it was I thought it was a down year for him, but it really wasn't. If you look at the numbers, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Who do you guys think was the best quarterback this past season, performance wise? And yeah. So that's probably all I'm going to have for you guys. Once again, just a shorter episode today, just by myself. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And please let me know, what you guys think of the tier list. Let me know what you guys think of the Super Bowl. Anything going on in your lives. Let me know, honestly. It doesn't have to be sports related. Just let me know what's going on. But anyways, we'll see you guys this Saturday with a new drop. Episode number, I want to say it's 15 this Saturday. With all the guys. So thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys this Saturday. And once again, I apologize for not getting a video out sooner. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.